Good morning and welcome to yet another great episode of Enterprise Weekend. Of course, weekend is that time we sit and back and relax, of course, but most importantly, keep you inundated on the things that are happening, not just Nigeria but around the world. My name is Henry. In a bit, we'll be heading straight to our newspaper headlines to see all that we have for you this morning, and right after that, most definitely would be our main conversation. But please do well to be part of our community. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment respectfully. That is very important. And follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're so very honored to have with us right here in our studios Mr. Innocent Omodu. He is a public affairs commentator. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, interestingly, because of course it's the weekend, I would love us to start with the Punch newspaper. A very interesting story here that I would love us to start with. And of course, it's around the family, everything that happens around the family. And just before that, really, let's take other stories, but just before we get into that, on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, that is the Punch, we have Why I Cried When OAU Student Celebrated Me. And that's a lecturer that went viral. And just below that particular story, you have US deport hundreds as Trump begins crackdown on illegal immigrants. And also on the top strip here, we have Oshomole, retired generals trade tackles over illegal mining. Remember, Adams Oshomole said that the retired generals were those who were financing illegal mining. That's a very strong allegation, if you ask me, and I hope Oshomole has what it takes to defend that. But let's talk about this particular matter here. Men should stop killing women over alleged infidelity, and that's coming from Joke Silva. Sir, I'd love you to take your jab on this particular matter. Most recently, we've had this issue of growing infidelity. And you're a man to a man. You know too well that that is one area that we wouldn't want to accept no matter what. But is that enough reason for women to go down?
When you say we men, yes, the one place that we don't want to accept, I don't understand.
Infidelity, that is. Infidelity.
That men doesn't want to accept infidelity, yes, or they don't see it as an offense.
No, they wouldn't want to accept that, because no man would love to live in the same house with a woman that, of course, is that is found in such
from
such
the
vice.
other side.
Yes.
When a man doesn't want to accept his woman,
yes, who commits,
sure, not even the woman accepts that either. Okay. But again, yeah, this is Africa.
Yes.
In every clime and jurisdictions, culture influence families a lot. And you know that over time, things that were not seen as an affront to a relationship, to familyhood, things that were not seen as issues become issues. And that is transformation in our social life. That is modernization. Those are the things we copy as a result of interaction, social interactions across borders, across jurisdiction. Years back, we heard, some of us witnessed it, some of us did not, but we heard that when a man is married and he wants to get married to another woman, maybe he wants to take a second wife, he barely just to need, madam, I am considering taking a second wife. Even though the woman doesn't like it, she accepts it as if it's the norm. But that's not the issue.
Okay.
So coming back to your question, why we don't accept it? Nobody accepts it. Because it's like more taking charge of your territory. Yeah, when you're now seeing somebody invading that space, the woman sees another woman as invading her space when she sees a man cheating on her. Okay. Same way, a man sees that a man is invading his space when he finds out that his woman is cheating on him. So it's about, one, integrity. It's about religions have influence in it. It's about family values, right? Okay. So nobody takes it, not even just the man. The woman doesn't take it as well. The women doesn't take it as well. And why is it on the rise? Yes. The fact that we see most of it happening around crime these days is that one of the factors that have influenced that is social media.
Oh, okay.
Social media, with the high advantages that it has brought to our lives, there is this downsides of it that have influenced that has influenced crime, that has influenced deviation from our social norms. Before you know, two persons that have never met have connected online. A man and woman, whether they are married or not, they've connected via social media.
Okay.
And the next thing is that they on that social media, they will stay on that social media, they will meet, they will discuss how they will have their affair, they will discuss their location where they will meet, they will conclude every transaction on the social media, and before you know, everything that's made easy. But let me tell you, if this were supposed to take place, maybe you went to the market and you at Ibadan and you met a woman, and you are back in Lagos where you reside. But before you meet that woman again, even though you like her, transportation will become a factor that will discourage you. The convenience of her either coming to Lagos or you going become a factor that will discourage you. But that's not the case. Do you know there are people commit adultery over social media without seeing,
without physically meeting each other. Wow.
So there are so many things, and also another thing that is happening that is causing this rise is the fact that there is competition, social competitions. And what do I mean by social competition? You see, the rise of feminism.
Beautiful, because I actually wanted to get into that particular matter, because the rise of feminism is killing our society, especially for the women folks, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas and other gens that we have are equally following in route to that particular vice in our society. I don't know, what do you think about that, just before we move on to
the rise of in feminism is not something strange. It's not something strange. To me, it's not something strange. But again, every society have what they cherish, have what they have in alignment with their culture. The only reason why we're having problem with feminism is that we have not been able to balance it with our culture. Our culture does not really accept that a woman should stand up to a man and challenge a man. But it's becoming a reality. The fact is that we are the one that send them to school. We send some of them to school in abroad where they see these things, and when they come back, they say that is the norm, that is a life. They don't. Most people feel to strike a balance between this is where I am coming from abroad. This is what they cherish. This is their life. And when you are bringing that which you have copied from the West, the Europe, to Nigeria to go and meet an Igbo man who believes that in the morning you should fetch water for him to bath, or you should, when you prepare his food, you bring to him and kneel down, or you meet an Idoma man that say, okay, in the morning you cook, in the evening when you cook food, you bring it in a tray, you kneel down and wait for me to wash them before I eat. So there will be a conflict. There will be certainly there will be a conflict. So the Gen Zs, the Alphas who are coming up, why they have embraced that as the norms, as a social life which is happening in their generation. Most people who are generations before them have not reconciled that. Definitely, and because of that lack of reconciliations, some of them, pardon me, some of them have reconciled that, maybe because of how well they are raised, because of their exposure, they have reconciled that. Okay, fine, the woman have her own space, she has her own rights in a family. But most people, the generations that are wading out gradually, so a time will come when nobody will be complaining about this any longer.
Wow, man, that would be really strong, though, because that's where people in the West have seen themselves, unfortunately, where LGBTQ plus is becoming a norm in the society, and they accept it. Just a couple of days back, Sri Lanka, I want to believe, allowed the mass wedding of LGBTQ people, and it's so very unfortunate. But I just hope that this would not in any way affect our culture, because our culture comes first. I don't want to see that day when our culture will be relegated to the background just because of evolution of life and technology. I don't think so.
This one this one too shall pass. You know why? Every generation, like in every century thereabout, comes with its unique social adherence and norms. It comes with its things. Remember, back then, there was a time that is activism, a cry for freedom. Slavery was a norm, right? And people, after slavery, people came to the awareness of rising up to challenge what slavery means. There was a time that the campaign was all about child rights, that every children must go to school. Now, nobody is campaigning because every family knows that their children must go to school. They are still campaigning in some parts of the world, and even in Nigeria, but the emphasis is no longer much on that because a lot of people have embraced it, have accepted it. There were times it's all about, how do you call it? It's all about genders. It's all about genders. When I say it's all about genders, a man, a woman. Today there are more than 5 genders in some climes. So this is our generation. Yeah. These two, it's either will become acceptable worldwide or mostly in most parts of the world, or it will pass.
Definitely.
And some people will begin to realize that there is another life that should be lived.
Very well said. Now let's quickly move to the weekend. The reason why we actually stressed on this is because family is everything. Africa is one culture that that believes in the family. The unit is so very important. I like why we had to stress on that particular matter. But let's quickly move to the weekend thrust today, and we have on the top strip here, Tinubu appoints Ganduje Akinyemi others as a board chairman, and Northern music industry needs a facelift tomorrow. And equally we have sacked from FCT IDPs, the pick up pieces in Nasarawa, victims drawn from Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, and others. Bandits set my husband and daughter ablaze. Let's talk about this particular matter, the FCT, and of course the people in the IDP camps. And we have a cartoon flake here of vulnerable people that have been sacked from their IDP camps. I'll speak to this particular matter. Don't you think it's very worrisome that 2025, when all the countries and all the people are thinking of space, conquering space. They've conquered hunger. They've conquered lots of things that for us is still very big to us, and we're still having IDP camps with people that we can't even take care of.
Okay, sadly, that's our reality in Nigeria at the moment. And we're just looking at, we're just mentioning FCT, but there are so many other states that their IDP camps, the conglomerate of their IDPs, let me use that, is bigger than FCT.
It's a community.
It's a community. Sadly, that's a reality. The reason is that this has been, it was coming a long time. It's been there. We're now hearing much about it because social media is helping us to know. The main street media is helping us to know about what is happening in FCT. If not, back then, 20, 30 years ago, in some places there have been a lot of these issues. Even though there might not be an isolated IDPs, but there were issues. Now let's go to the issues. We need to tackle the cause of the crisis that is creating the IDPs. We don't need to tackle IDPs. By the time you are tackling on how to manage IDPs, what the issues, the crime, the crisis that caused those people to become IDPs, and you have not tackled it, the moment you provide shelter, provide food, provide the basic means of livelihood for them in that temporary shift, another crisis will erupt. If you resettle those people and the crisis is still ongoing, you're only going to, you just graduated a set of IDPs and another set to come. I'm from Benue State. I can tell you that in Benue State, there are more than 20 IDPs.
Really?
Clusters. Wow. From Nasarawa, Aziz to different areas. What is the issue? The Fulani herders and farmers crisis. The bandits and all of that, among others, including communal clashes.
Yes.
Some people have been in IDPs for over 10 years.
Wow.
Why? We are supposed to resettle them to their home, and the home is still not safe. So why will you put them in that danger? Some of them, even though they yearn to return to their ancestral home, the fear of that attack that can be imminent at any time, unpredicted, it's there. So you'd rather be in the IDP where police are guiding you, save your life, and know that, okay, you've only lost your home, but you have saved your life. So the government needs to tackle the root cause of the matter. If you get to Benue State, where the major issue is the herders farmer crisis, tackle that. If you tackle that, you are definitely going to handle the issue of IDPs. In FCT, same thing is happening. And this is no thanks to climate change, which we wave it out. And as South Africa, we wave it out. Why most of these herders are criminals. We also have to understand why they become agitated, confrontational. Why this crisis coming between them in recent times? It wasn't like that before. The reason is that climate change is affecting their own livelihood as well.
But because it's really so minute, we don't take notice of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you see most of these herders, they move from one point to another, hoping that they might get the help that they need. And when they get to their host, people do not accept them the way they want, and the crisis.
It's not that people
erupts.
do not accept them. It's because they become so violent.
Really?
Recently, that's why people don't accept them. It's because they become so violent. And what is causing the violence? When the herders back then doesn't need, in most cases, they don't need to pass through your farms, because outside your farm there are green lands for them to graze. Now the issue is that as population increases, where they used to know or where they used to pass as their route, or where they used to see as a place for them to graze, is either now being taken, has been taken over as settlement or farmland, because mechanization in agriculture is expanding in Africa, is in Nigeria. So all those nuclear farming that we see, subsistence farming, those small ones, those is not what we see again. And so somebody can own 10 acres, 200 acres, and it's all land. So the herders or the Fulani man is looking for space for his cattle to graze. And so there is limited space for him. And the cattle, they are not human beings. If they see a green cassava,
anything that looks like food,
it's edible. It's edible. And the farmer whose life is dependent on that, the moment I see your cattle in my farm, there is a crisis.
Yeah.
It's not that they kill, but there is definitely a crisis. And whether I like it or not, these guys are armed. The fact that the crisis in the sub-Saharan Africa, from
the Sahel,
yeah, from Libya and other, has caused proliferation of arms. If you go to places around the Middle Belt, where I come from, you see herders with AK-45 or 47, whatever it is. That is in addition to their sword.
That's really, really
so
pathetic.
There must be a crisis. Let's leave that. That is actually the cause of the IDPs. So government needs to be strategic. The fact is that when you come and you say you want Fulani to go into ranches, what is the enabling environment you provided for ranches? Have you educated them on the importance of ranches? Have you educated the farmer why he should give up his land to be used as a ranch? What does he get in return when you take my land that my ancestor has given me to farm, to give to a Fulani man to raise his cattle? What am I getting in return for a farm that I a land that I am hoping to till in the next 100 years to bequeath to my offspring and other ones. So government on their own has not able to manage it. So the IDPs, they're in the middle belt to the far northeast, where you have Zamfara, Katsina, where bandit is reigning, and all of that. So there must be increase in IDPs.
Very well.
As far as you continue to bandits and herders continue to displace people. Terrorists like Boko Haram, the Lakurawas, the one that just emerged, as far as they continue to operate, the militaries are doing their best, but not enough. So government should become strategic.
Very, very
By
true.
the time they tackle that, IDPs issue will be handled.
Very, very true. Because for the military, of course, most recently is overstretched as I speak. And there's the reason you see lots of skirmishes here and there. I think just like our guest here did say that there should be a blueprint by the government to ensure that this end. Don't just treat the IDPs or allow them go, but treat the root cause of the problem, because when we treat the root cause of the problem, then we would find a solution. Thank you so very much, Mr. Omodu, for being part of our show today. We truly do appreciate you, and just to let you know, he would be here to take us on our main conversation, but that is when we return. Putin claims that Trump could have prevented Russia-Ukraine war. That in a bit, Still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere.